change the name. Hold on. Alright, I'm not sure why the name didn't change, but oh well. I'm not sure why the name didn't change, but oh well. Alright, we're just gonna wait for a few people to get in here and then we'll get started. Hey, what's up, Wayne? I'm just waiting for more people to get in here and then I'm gonna get going. Hey, what's up, Devin? Got 3. Alright, yeah, we're just waiting up for, I'm just waiting, I'm trying to, just waiting for a couple people to join. Then I'm going to share this on my Facebook real quick, and then we'll see it going. I don't know how to share this, to be honest. My phone's acting up right now. I'm trying to share this on my Facebook. Yeah, this shit's tweaking. Alright, well, it doesn't want to work. Anyway, we got 3 other people in here. Alright, that's good enough. So, what's going on, guys? We got a lot for today's show. We got DeMar returns to Toronto, the Bucks and Celtics. LeBron has gone into his playoff mode. Harden not happy with the refs after the last game. Players apparently have not been respecting Harden's season as much as you would think. Embiid is injured again. Zion's injury and what that means for the college basketball rules as well as Nike. They are part in this. Brown has apparently been reported to go to the. I wrote Steers. I don't know. That's supposed to say Packers or Saints. I don't know what I was thinking when I wrote that. Case Keenum apparently was surprised and upset by the trade. Look at his pre-show chat. Landon Collins apparently moving on from the Giants. Steelers GM has been backing up Big Ben with a quote recently. And then for baseball, the Reds been making a lot of moves this offseason, and James Harrison has signed with the Tigers. So we'll start with the NBA. So we'll just go down the list. So first, DeMar's return to Toronto. So the Spurs and Raptors played. Final score 120-117. DeMar had the ball with, I believe it was 14 seconds left. Lowry ripped them, and ironically enough, Kawhi Leonard gets the dunk to put them up by 2. And I believe Kawhi ended up hitting the free throws to ice the game. DeRozan finished with 23 points, 8 assists, 4 rebounds. And Kawhi with 25, 2, and 6. Kawhi didn't shoot very well from the field. He was 2 for 13 at one point. But honestly, you got to feel bad for DeMar. You know, he returns to Toronto, a place where he spent all of his career up until this point. He wanted to be a Raptor for life. That's what all the reports say. That's what he says. He was shocked by the trade. We all know the drama. And he looked like he was going to get the win. You know, he had some highlight plays. He had the 360 layup in, I think, the second quarter. Maybe it was the first half for sure, though. And he played a solid game up until then. 23 and 8's a nice game. And then he just turned the ball over with 14 seconds left to his ex-best friend, or still his best friend. And they end up losing because of that. Oh, I gotta fix that. So it was a tough game. Kawhi had a tough first half, but in the end, he still pulled it out. On that steal that Lowry had, Kawhi trapped. It was a great defensive play by both of them. So, yeah, you know, it just sucks for DeMar. I wanted the Spurs to get the win just because, you know, his return to Toronto, maybe get a little revenge. But in the end, DeRozan choked, and as much as I hate to say it, that's nothing new for him. He tends to choke, especially in the playoffs. You can't trust him down the stretch of games, so it is what it is. So that's all I got for that. Bucks versus Celtics, a lot more interesting in this. This one is a lot more interesting than Raptors Spurs, just because these are arguably the two best teams in the East. There's a very good chance it could be a playoff series, probably second round, if not Eastern Conference Finals, depends how the seeding works out. The Bucks won by 1 point, 98-97, what was a great game. Kyrie with 22, 5, and he had 1 rebound. And then Giannis had 36 assists and 13 rebounds. The Celtics do a good job of guarding Giannis. And now that sounds crazy because he's finished with 36 and 13. But I think in general, not necessarily this game, but in general, they play him better than anyone else. They do that with a lot of people. They play Simmons better than anyone else. You could argue they guard Embiid better than everyone else. I think that's more so Horford, but in general, the Celtics play superstars very well. But anyway, so I'm not really concerned about this game too much. It was a good game. You know, Kyrie, you can argue he got fouled on that last shot. There's definitely some contact on the arm, but with 3 seconds left, or however much time it was, actually less than that, I think there was like a second left when he put that up, you're not going to get that call. Now, there is a problem with how this game went, because in the final 3.4 seconds of that game, the NBA announced they missed 4 calls, and I believe one of them was the one on Kyrie, so I'm not even going to count that, because I'm not mad he didn't get that call. You're not going to get that, like I said, in the final 4 seconds of a game. But 3 missed calls in 3 seconds, that's unacceptable. The NBA's had an issue with refs for a long time now. I personally think they're the worst out of any league. You know, out of any league that I watch, MLB, NBA, and NFL. I'd say NBA is the worst by far, and it's not getting any better. If anything, it's getting worse with the softness of this league. So on to this as a playoff series potentially. Who could win this, or who will win this if they play? Although the Bucks won this game, I like the Celtics in the series if it happens, because I think the Celtics have more firepower when it comes down to it, in the sense that the Bucks have Giannis and Middleton and then role players, and that's cool for regular season. But come playoff time, we've seen Brown can step up and drop buckets in the playoffs. Tatum can step up and drop buckets in the playoffs. Kyrie, of course. Horford is just an all-around very good player. And then you still got Morris who can catch fire and drop, you know, not necessarily 30. He can give you 20 to 25 on any night. And like I said, they play Giannis better than I think anyone else does. They beat them in 7 last year, but that was without Kyrie and Hayward. Oh, and also Hayward, who's been getting his stride back. You know, he's looked good the last few games. Like probably the last 2 weeks or so, he's been dropping 15 on average. Had a couple 20-plus point games, so he's looking like he's back in form a little bit. I'm expecting to see like 16 a game out of him come playoff time. So I think the Celtics will take that series. Now, a big difference between last year's series and this is Budenholzer is the Bucks coach now, who I think you could argue is the best coach in the East. I would personally take Brad at still, but I think Budenholzer is a close second. And the only reason I think it's close is because Brad this season has been disappointing. The Celtics should not be a 4 seed. They might move up to 3, I'm not sure. But, the sound glitching for people. How bad's the sound? I'll wait for a second. How bad's the sound? Let me know in the chat. Occasionally the sound is it like I have to fix it, or like is it worth dealing with? Let me know. I don't know what I would do honestly to fix it. Yeah, so just someone let me know what's going on with the sound. How bad is it? I'll just keep going. If it's that bad, somebody can let me know. So where's I at? I'm not sure exactly where's that. Oh yeah, Celtics been disappointing. They shouldn't be the 4 seed. So I think a lot of that you can put on Brad. There's a lot of things going on. There's Kyrie. You got Hayward's injury. Okay, I can maybe work on that for future stream. I don't know what to do right now. I'll look into it. Yeah, I'll try to look into it. I'm not sure exactly what to do. So yeah, I would take the Celtics in that series, and I think last night the Bucks won, but fix it, dude. I honestly, hold on, I'll look. All right. I just did something. I don't know. That's honestly all I can do is what I just did. So let me know if it's fixed. If not, I'm sorry if you don't want to watch because it is what it is. But I'll look into it for future stream. I didn't realize there was a problem with it. But I'm just gonna keep going. So next we got LeBron activates playoff mode. They came back against the Rockets. I believe they were down like 18 at one point. I was watching. I'm not even gonna lie. I was watching up until the 3rd quarter, and I turned it off because. You know me, I'm a Braun fan. You know, I was getting pissed watching them lose. So I turned it off and opted on 2K. I ended up going back and watching the 4th quarter and seeing the comeback. But, so yeah, LeBron said in an earlier interview a couple of days ago that he's going into playoff mode a little bit sooner than he'd like to. And he needs to because these Lakers are not looking good right now. They got to at least get that 7, or at least get the 8 seed, but preferably push up to that 7 seed. So in order to do that, you know, he's got to step up big time. He had 29, 12 rebounds, and 6 assists. And the thing that surprised me the most about this game is Brandon Ingram had 27 points, 13 rebounds. Before the year started, I picked Brandon Ingram to win the most improved. That looks like a terrible prediction now, I get that. I thought LeBron's game was going to complement him more than it is. You got... I guess it makes sense because Brandon Ingram's a ball-dominant player. I was thinking maybe his off-ball skills would improve. I think he could be a good cutter off the ball. And I thought his 3-point catch and shoot would be better than it is this year with LeBron giving him some open looks. But he stepped up last night, and that was huge for him. Right before I went live, I was watching the Pelicans-Lakers game, and Lakers were getting their asses kicked. LeBron was doing his thing. He had 24 in the 3rd quarter, so I don't know how that game ended up finishing. No way he let the Lakers miss the playoffs. Yeah, I don't think they're going to miss the playoffs. I don't think there's any chance. I'd put any amount of money on it that they don't. LeBron's not missing the playoffs. It's just not something I could see happening. If it does, I'll be completely surprised. But yeah, so you know, he led the comeback. For the Rockets, they didn't play bad necessarily. They were up for a long time. You know, Harden had 30 points, 6 and 6, and CP3 with a near triple-double, 23 points, 10 rebounds, 9 assists. So great games out of their duo. But LeBron, like I said, I've said this a couple times already, but He's in this playoff mode, and he wasn't going to let them lose that game. That was a big game they needed. Not only did it help them boost their record, but it helped a Western Conference playoff team drop their record, so that's huge for them. The Western Conference matchups for them are going to be the biggest when they play teams like the Kings, the Clippers, whoever they have left on that schedule. Anyone in the playoffs are going to want to get those wins. Those are going to be huge for them. So I think the Lakers are going to push and get this 7 seed. I think LeBron's just too good for them not to. Maybe the 8 seed, but I'm seeing the 7 seed, so that way they can avoid the Warriors to the Western Conference Finals. And I think if the Lakers squeeze into these playoffs, 7-game series, anything can happen. I'd pick them to go to the Western Conference Finals. I really would. For reasons I'll get into more as the playoffs approach and I do my predictions. But yeah, so I think playoff LeBron is a real thing. It's activated, and the rest of the league better watch out. Especially after seeing what they were able to do to the Rockets the other night. So staying on the subject of the Lakers versus Rockets, after the game, Harden was complaining he doesn't like Scott Foster as a referee. I believe he's like, I don't remember the record. I think he's like 0-8 in his last 8 games refereed by him. They obviously don't get along, or not necessarily get along, but Harden's play style and his referee style don't get along, if that makes sense. Harden is a player who lives off drawing fouls. You know, that's how he is able to score so many points. Now, don't get me wrong, he gets buckets either way. He hits threes, he finishes, he hits all these and ones. He's not just relying on the free throws, but he leads the league in free throws, and that's a huge part of his game. You can't deny it. And, you know, him complaining about this ref, I really hate that. I think it's... James Harden benefits from officiating 75 out of the 82 games a year. Maybe I'll throw in a couple games where he doesn't get calls he should and the Rockets get screwed. 75 games out of the year, he gets a beneficial... he benefits from the referees calling fouls for him. So I think it's kind of hypocritical for him to complain about the refs. Chris Paul complained also. You know, I don't have a problem with that because it's not necessarily the message. Are some of the calls bad? You know, maybe you can argue some of them. I guess he has a point. But when you're benefiting from every other ref in the NBA, don't complain when one doesn't give you the calls that every other one does. So, I mean, if it was the playoff series, maybe, but a regular season game, they just blew that lead. You know, it wasn't on the refs. The refs didn't call us on that. James Harden got a charge on... LeBron drew a charge on James Harden. I believe that's how he fouled out. So I get why he's mad, but that was a charge. If you go back and watch it, LeBron got there, he got his feet planted. He was out of the restricted area. So you can't blame that loss on the refs. I think Harden's... I just think it's kind of funny. Harden, out of any player in the NBA, is complaining about the refs. So it is what it is. I don't like it. And staying on Harden... there's been reports that NBA players around the league aren't necessarily don't respect Harden's game. They say he gets away with a lot of travels, and they say he gets fouls he doesn't deserve. And I think it's a little bit of two things. I think, one, are they onto something? Yeah, you know, Harden does travel sometimes. A lot of his step backs are travels. Not as many as people think. He has step backs that are just absolutely clean, that are completely legal. You know, the gather step and then the 1-2. Is it a travel in any other league? Yes, but the NBA has allowed that for a while, and it's not like he's breaking the rules. He's just breaking the rules. If, say, a high schooler were to do that, it's obviously travel, but the NBA does have a little bit different rules, as they should. I think when you're moving that fast, you're that explosive of an athlete. You know, a gather step's not necessarily the worst thing to have, so people aren't forcing 1-2s. You know, you can also hurt your ankle, like, if you, I know that might sound weird. Maybe I'm making no sense. Whatever. We'll move on. I don't have a problem with a lot of step backs. But anyway, so he does get away with some travels, no doubt about it. And he does get fouls that aren't fouls. But it's a skill. Drawing fouls is a skill. And Harden's better at it than anyone in the NBA. Now, if we're talking straight, who honestly gets fouled the most when they drive, it's probably LeBron James. That's just because he goes to the rim so much. He's so big. Not necessarily anymore. He shoots a lot more jumpers, but maybe like LeBron a few years ago, and he still was never leading the league in free throws like I believe he should have. So they do have a point that Harden gets too many calls or doesn't get called, travels enough. But at the same time, I think it's a lot of jealousy. You know, he won last year's MVP. It looks like at the moment he might win it again. Paul George making a strong case, so is Giannis. But I think the NBA would vote Harden MVP right now. He's averaging like 36.5 points. He's getting all the media coverage. It seems like he's got this impressive 30-point per game streak, or 30 points a game. in like 34 consecutive games, I think it is now. So a lot of it is jealousy too. This was a problem with Curry when he first broke out. People weren't big on Curry. There was reports that Kyrie, Chris Paul, and LeBron, three off the top of my head, there was more, but they weren't big fans of Steph Curry. And it just comes down to jealousy. There's some truth to all of the statements they make about these players, but at the end of it all, I think it honestly is just the jealousy that gets in the way of it, and it kind of blinds them. It doesn't give them. They don't respect the players as much as they should. So all in all, some truth to it. Mostly jealousy, I think. I think Harden is playing at an absolutely insane level. This year, top 3 NBA player. He's my MVP at the moment. Paul George, like I said, he's in second, honestly. Giannis is in third. Actually, I don't know, dude. It's tough. I'll do an MVP segment as we get closer. But those are the top 3 right now. Harden's playing out of his mind. So, we'll keep moving on. And then we got, let's see what we got. Embiid. Embiid is out with knee damage. I'm sorry, not knee damage, knee soreness. There's no internal damage, so it's nothing significant. They just want to make sure he's not causing internal damage, nip it in the butt while they can. I think it's smart, you know. Could he play through it? If it's playoffs, you probably play him. But they're not getting a 1 or 2 seed, probably not even a 3 seed. So, you know, just play it safe. You still got 3 other all-star caliber players in Jimmy Simmons and Tobias. They should be able to carry the load for a little bit. And you still got Boban, who will probably start at center. He can't give you 30 minutes, but he can give you 15 to 20 minutes, usually more on the 15 end, of very, very solid offensive center play. He can rebound with the best of them just because of his size. And defensively, he's not the fastest, but when he's, 7'4", him just standing at the rim is good enough defense. You're not going to finish over him very much, unless you're amongst the league's best at getting to the hole. So, is this a big deal? Long term, you could if he just keeps getting injured, the Sixers are going to think, like, we got this 24-year-old, I think he is, maybe 25, who can't even stay healthy. Do we trade him and get what we can for him? And Embiid's my favorite player in the league other than LeBron. I think he's the best center in the league, although Jokic is closing that gap in my eyes. We'll see come playoff time. But right now I got Embiid as the best center, so I don't think you can trade that regardless. I think you take the risk. But there is a good chance that his career's over, his prime's over by 28 just because of his knees and his back, and maybe 30 his career's over. Maybe he has like a similar thing to Shaq, because Shaq didn't take care of his body like he should have, and I don't think Embiid's not doing that, but some people are just injury prone, and for big men that's worse because you're running up and down the floor, all that weight on those knees and all that pressure on your back. So it's a serious concern. It really should be. But I'm glad they're sitting him out for at least a week, they say. I'm saying maybe 2 weeks. Make sure he's 100%, because Embiid's not going to tell you when he's 100%. You got to make sure this medical staff's on this. Embiid wants to play. So it's a serious deal. But I think they're handling him the right way. And staying on the injury topic, we got our last NBA topic. Zion, or not NBA, but basketball. Zion Williams goes down. I'm guessing most of you saw it. Blew his shoe out. Foot went right through the shoe. As far as people giving Nike all this crap, how often do you see that? Nike makes great shoes. I think people are going way overboard. If it wasn't Zion, people wouldn't care as much, and that's just facts. No one's gonna care if that's some 8th man on Louisville who blows his. It'd be a meme. People would just think it's funny. But as far as this is bringing up a lot of discussion, should the NBA get rid of the one and done rule? And it was proposed officially by the NBA. They're looking into it. I don't know. I think 1 year of college is great for a lot of these players. I think college coaches can do so much for these guys as players, and I think college can teach you a lot just as a person. So do I think they should get rid of the one and done rule? I don't know. I think college would be still doing 1 year would be the smart choice, but I don't think it's right to make these players do it. Because with football, totally get it. You can't get rid of that. That's a safety issue. You can't have 18-year-olds going against 26-year-olds in a full contact sport like that. But with basketball, it's not really contact. Yes, there is contact, but it's not a contact sport. Shout out Zion. Yeah, Cody's on that Zion hype train. I don't see it. I think he's going to be a very good player, but not second best ever. But anyway, we'll stay on topic. So I think they should get rid of the rule. I think they should allow players to go straight from high school. I would recommend that players still go 1 year of college because you can learn a lot as a player. Those college coaches teach you a lot that you might not learn in the NBA in terms of just team basketball, because outside of a few teams in the NBA, college has the superior systems in the sense that they just play better team basketball. It's not, the NBA is just so much ISO now. Look at the Rockets. Look at the Lakers with, I'm sorry, not the Lakers. The Cavs with LeBron last year. Who else is very ISO-centric? The Thunder before Paul George got there. Even the Bucks are, they got a good system, but it's a lot of Giannis ISO or post-ups and just make a move, which isn't a bad thing. They're that talented, they need to. But I think college you can learn a lot in terms of playing as a team. You said it. So I think they do need to get rid of it. And if they don't, they say, no, you need to do 1 more year, you need to pay these college players. And I think you need to pay them anyway. They generate so much money for these schools. They're selling tickets for $3,000 for a Duke UNC game. That's all on the players. That has nothing to do with the school, really. It does, but it's the players at the school that make it. Otherwise, the school would be nothing. So you got to start giving these players their fair share. I'm not saying pay them like NBA players, but give them something, because these injuries can screw their careers. Say Zion tore his ACL, and then 2 years in the league he does it again. He just never reaches his potential. He could have made a lot of money playing in college if they gave him his fair share that he generates. And he just gets screwed out of tons and tons and tons of money. And I don't think it's fair because the colleges are benefiting off them so much. So, all in all, get rid of the one and done rule, and if not, start paying these players because they generate so much for their schools. So now that's it. That's all I got for the NBA/basketball. We'll move on to football. I just got the alert. So the Pelicans did end up winning. Brandon Ingram had another 29-point game, so maybe he is stepping up. Maybe he's going to help them with this playoff push. But they did take the L, so that's tough. That doesn't really help my LeBron case. But anyway, on to the NFL. So this is messed up. This is supposed to say Packers. I don't know why I wrote Steers. But anyway, Packers and Saints are both what I've been... Robert Kraft. Yeah, I'm going to get to that. So Saints and Packers, both apparently looking to get Brown. What team needs them more? I think either of these teams could benefit off him greatly. Cole is salty right now. Yeah. I think either team could use him, and they benefit greatly. He's the best receiver in the league still. But I'd say the Packers need him more. And I say that because, one, Drew Brees, while he's a great QB and still a top 5 QB in this league and was an MVP candidate this past season, he's not necessarily a huge deep ball guy. He can still throw it. He's very accurate, but a lot of these balls that you throw are 5 to 15 yards, kind of similar to Tom Brady's play style. Aaron Rodgers is a guy who's going to go out and sling it. He's going to throw that ball 30-plus yards down the field. He still gets his dump-off plays. Don't get me wrong. He doesn't just tuck the ball. But I think he's going to use Antonio Brown to his full potential more than Drew Brees would in that system. And also, Aaron Rodgers, now I have mixed feelings about Aaron Rodgers. He took that huge contract, so I don't feel bad that he doesn't have help. But he needs more help than this if he's going to win a Super Bowl. And I think he definitely has the talent to do it. I think he's the most talented QB in the NFL. He just doesn't have the intangibles that Tom Brady does, I believe. Otherwise, he'd be way better. If you were the 49ers, would you offer your first round pick for AB? Yeah, since we're on AB, I'll answer that real quick. I totally would. I think AB's totally worth a first round pick. I know he's getting a little older. He's 29, I think, maybe 30. And that's kind of old for a receiver. But he's still the best receiver in the league, and he hasn't shown any signs of slowing down. So if I'm the Packers, the Saints, 49ers, I'm giving up any pick, whatever it needs to get him. And the Steelers did say they wanted to trade him to the NFC, so that takes the Colts out of the equation most likely, unless they offer up a ton of their young assets, which I don't think would be smart to do in that situation, because they do already have T.Y. and Brown is getting older. I do think he's worth a first-round pick, but not as much as the Colts would need to give up to get him since they're in the AFC. So there's that. They need a wide receiver right now. So we'll move on to what is the hottest topic, which I should have started with. Robert Kraft arrested for basically paying for Andy. So the place was tracked back, I believe, or not tracked back, but like was seen. What's the word I'm looking for? They discovered that the place was connected to human trafficking, which is a it's not really it's not a debate. It's just a terrible thing in the U.S. that's happening. It needs to be fixed. I don't know how you fix it. That's for another time. And I'm not really going to give my opinion on necessarily the whole case itself. Let's just go over, will the NFL punish him? Let's just stick to the football side of it. Will the NFL punish Robert Kraft or the Patriots? I saw an ex-Jets player, I forget his name, he said he wants the Patriots to forfeit all their draft picks. I think that's ridiculous. It's the dumbest thing I've heard in a while. Absolutely moronic. I saw rumors that they might, not rumors, but people on Facebook and Twitter and just social media saying that Robert Kraft should sell the team. I don't think so. If you want to fine him for making the NFL look bad, sure, but you can't make a man get rid of his team because he went to a spa and got a happy ending. Like, get over yourselves. Is it messed up? Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's not right, but get rid of his NFL team, that's ridiculous. Make him lose their draft picks, that's ridiculous. You know, slap him with a huge fine. He's a billionaire. He can handle it. And it still makes the NFL look good because, you know, they're serious about this stuff, and it makes them look better. Kind of like what they need to do with Kareem Hunt. They just need to, even if they don't care that much, they need to make it seem like they do so they aren't losing fans over it. So next we got Case Keenum. Apparently, when talking to reporters, says he was absolutely shocked by the Joe Flacco trade. Thought he was their QB for the future. I agree, Cody. But yeah, he thought he was moving forward with that team, and I can't say I blame him. We talked about the Flacco trade itself before. I don't think it was a great move. He's basically Case Keenum at this point in terms of ability. Playoffs, he maybe gives you an edge, but not a huge upgrade by any means. So I don't get the move, and I get why Case Keenum is upset and confused. He did what I expected him to do in Denver. I don't think he was god-awful. I think Denver expected kind of a thing like they did with Minnesota, that they just dominate with a great defense and an average QB play. So maybe their expectations were too high for him. That's the only thing I can think about. He did what I expected them to do, or what I expected him to do. The Broncos did what I expected them to do. I thought maybe they could get 8 wins. I think they finished with 6. So, you know, the move doesn't make them much better. So now on the other side of this, where does Keenum go? Because he got paid a decent amount. I actually don't have the number on me, but I know he got a pretty decent contract, way higher than he should be paid in terms of just his ability. Oh, excuse me. People have been paying the position of QB, not the talent level, as you can see with all these huge contracts. Top 7 I think it was top 7, maybe 8 highest paid NFL QBs weren't in the playoffs this year. So people are starting to pay the position, not the talent, which is a huge problem, and which happened with Case Keenum. But anyway, where does he move on to? Really, the only team that I think should take a chance on him is the Jags, and I think they should be taking a chance on. I wanted the Jags to get Joe Flacco because, like I said, I do think he's slightly better than Case Keenum. But at this point, Case Keenum's their best bet unless Nick Foles goes there. And even then, Nick Foles has only produced in Philly. It's just his. I don't know what it is, but every place he goes to, other than that, he's been nothing. I think Nick Foles is just a backup QB, honestly. I don't think he should be a starter anywhere. That might sound crazy because of the performance he's put on, but I think he just embraces that underdog role. I think he's a backup QB, the best backup QB in the NFL, but I think that's all he is. I don't think he's going to, this might sound crazy, I don't think he's going to lead you to a Super Bowl. I know he did, but that was as the backup underdog mentality. It might seem like not a big deal, but I think it really is. Philly showed you again this year. because by no means is he a better QB than Carson Wentz in terms of pure talent. It's not really even close. Carson Wentz is an amazing talent, one of the best young prospects we have at the QB position. So no way he should be starting over Wentz, because I know that's been a debate. I think he needs to stay a backup. And we're getting a little off topic, but anyway, Case Keenum to the Jags. I think it needs to happen for them. They are young, but young players get sick of losing real quick, so they need to make a move now. And Case Keenum's really the only option. I think he could get the Jags back in the playoffs. I mean, they made the AFC Championship with Blake Bortles, so why couldn't he? He's a solid QB in the 17 to 23 range. Like, that's not the best, but with a defense like that, that's all you need. Blake Bortles is in the 28 to 32 range. Nick Foles is better than him, and like I said, he should just be a backup. So I think Case Keenum to the Jags makes a lot of sense. I don't know what they give up to get him. I don't think the Broncos are asking for much. It's more of a Broncos are going to help other teams out. Like, yo, take this salary off of us. So maybe the Jags can even get some picks out of it. So that's what I got for Case Keenum. Landon Collins, strong safety for the Giants, packed up his locker room. He said goodbye, saw the players. Why is he gone? I don't know. I didn't really find anything on that. Maybe some of you have seen it. Let me know. If on the Giants side, if this is like the Giants kind of pushing him out, I don't get it. He's a great young talent. He was ranked, 92nd best player out of the top 100 in the NFL last year. You might think 92nd, but there's a lot of players in a lot of positions in the NFL. Top 100 players, a solid player. You want top 100 players on your team. So where does he go from here? I don't know what he's looking for in a team or what the Giants are looking to get for him, but I think the Falcons could use him. Every year, they're still amongst the best leagues in offenses. Matt Ryan, very solid QB, top 15, probably top 10. It depends who you ask. He'd be in my top 10, around the 8 to 10 range. But, you got a top 10 QB, solid offensive line most years. I believe they struggled this year with injuries, but when healthy, they're a decent O-line. You got Julio Jones, who's the second best receiver in the league, in my opinion. You got Devontae Freeman, who, solid running back. He had one crazy year and he slowed down since then, but still a good running back nonetheless. So the main problem is that defense, and a big part of it is the secondary. Right now they have Jordan Richards and DeMonte Kazee at the Collins to the Bengals. I mean, that'd be nice for them. I don't think it's a bad move. I just don't see them in win now mode. I think they need to rebuild. But Collins is young actually, so I guess that makes sense. But anyway, so right now the Falcons have Jordan Richards and DeMonte Kazee. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know a ton about the Falcons safeties, but I know that Landon Collins is a lot better than both of them. They might be solid, but they're not Landon Collins level. So I think the Falcons should get him. I think he could help that secondary a lot, make them the best team in the NFC South again. Because I do think the Saints are going to kind of fall off a little bit next year. We'll save that for when NFL season approaches. But I do think the Falcons, with some adjustments to the secondary, could be the best team in the NFC South again. And I think a good start in that direction is signing Landon Collins, or trading for Landon Collins. I don't know what they have for assets or what they'd be willing to give up, but I think that is a good fit. And I think he could help them become a lot better in the secondary. So, last football topic, we got the Steelers GM says Big Ben is without question the locker room leader of the Steelers. We've been talking about this on the last couple streams here and there. Is Big Ben a good leader? I think, and I'm still torn on this, because on one hand, he's won 2 Super Bowls. He's constantly in the playoffs. This year they missed it, and it was a big deal because, whoa, the Steelers aren't in the playoffs. So that says something. And don't get me wrong, he's had talent around him. Antonio Brown, best receiver in the league. Bell, for most of the last few years, has been the best running back in the league. Now he's missed a year. We'll see what happens. But he's had talent around him. Defensively, but offensively, he's had the talent. So it's not like he's carrying. But regardless, he's been in the playoffs consistently. He has won 2 Super Bowls. So to say he's a bad leader, I don't think is fair. I think he has bad leadership tendencies in the sense that sometimes he's a bad leader. Overall, he's a good leader, though. But the quote exactly from the Steelers GM was, he is the unquestioned leader of this locker room, and the young guys need to listen to him. He's done it before, and they haven't, or something like that. I might be paraphrasing, but that was the message he was getting across. And I think he might be right. Maybe these young guys aren't listening to him, and that's why last year, there was times where he threw his teammates under the bus. And maybe that has to do with him getting sick of them not listening and them not putting up the numbers he knows they're capable of. You know, when you're a QB who's been in the playoffs every year, like I've been talking about, and you're finally starting to miss the playoffs, even though you have one of the most talented rosters, offensively mostly, but still overall one of the most talented rosters in the NFL. That's aggravating. You're going to say stuff out of anger, and some of it's going to come off bad, and it's going to rub guys the wrong way. But maybe it's what they needed this year. Brown and Bell left because of a lot of... I don't think it's all on Ben, but I think it had something to do with it. Le'Veon didn't even return Big Ben's calls. So that shows something about the relationship. So last year, I don't think he did a great job as a leader, but overall, I think he was a good leader. Last year was just stressful. It was uncharted territory for them for a very long time. So I agree with Steelers GM. The young players need to listen to Big Ben. He's won Super Bowls. He's done it before. He's got two years left, maybe. He's got to make him count. And fixing his leadership from last year, going back to maybe a younger Big Ben style, I think is the move. And if these Steelers listen to him, you still got Juju Smith-Schuster, who is a great up-and-coming wide receiver. You have James Conner, who proved last year he can be a very good back. They still got a great O-line. So they can make some noise next year. Maybe even get like a 2 seed. Who knows? They have the talent. If they put it all together, we'll see what the coaching staff situation is. But Big Ben, overall, good leader. Young guys need to listen to him. So that's all I got for football. I got 2 topics left, both in baseball. Nothing huge. Cincinnati Reds. Devin, I think you're a fan of the Reds. I'm not exactly sure. I know Cole is. They made a lot of moves this offseason. You know, they were 67-95 last year, so not good. And they needed to make some moves. So they signed Yasiel Puig, signed/traded for Puig, Sonny Gray, Matt Kemp, and Alex Wood. All solid players. You know, Sonny Gray, he's a one-time All-Star back in 2015. Hasn't been the best since. Last year, 11-9 with a 4.9 ERA. Not great at all. 4.9 is not a good ERA at all, actually. That's kind of bad. Yasiel Puig, you know, he hit 270 last year, about 23 dingers, 63 RBIs, 15 stolen bases. You know, with Puig, it's mostly about the defense and the arm that you get him for. He has a very streaky bat, but when he's on, he can be a big asset at the plate. But typically more of a bottom of the order type of guy, kind of like a JBJ, where he'll catch fire, then he'll slow down for a couple months. Better than JBJ in terms of offensively, but worse defensively. Matt Kemp hit 290. Excuse me. Matt Kemp hit 290 last year, 21 home runs and 85 RBIs. So he's getting up there in age. You know, he's 34 years old, but he's showing he can still swing that bat. He was a big part in the Dodgers going to the World Series last year. Not like the part, but a solid asset nonetheless. So, and then they got Alex Wood, 9-7 last year, 3.68 ERA. He was an All-Star in 2017, so he's shown flashes recently. Could he help them? Can him and Sonny Gray help out their pitching, which struggled last year? Probably. You know, it's hard to go down from where they were last year. I think these are all upgrades in their own way. But does it get them into the playoffs? I don't think so. I think they are cool moves that'll help them with sales. You know, Puig's kind of a must-see player. If he plays for your team, you'd love to see him play in person. Matt Kemp, you know, he's respect all around the league. So help with sales. You know, they'll win more games. 75 to 80 games maybe, but I don't see them making the playoffs even with these moves. They still lack a lot of depth in a lot of positions, especially that pitching rotation isn't the best, and their bullpen needs a lot of work. And lastly, Josh Harrison signs a 1-year, $2 million deal with the Tigers. Hit 250 last year. He's a 2-time All-Star, so he's had seasons. He finished 9th in MVP voting once, which 9th in the league, that's very good, honestly. So he's had flashes of great years. He only had 8 home runs last year, so not a power guy by any means. Do I like or dislike this move? Like it, I guess. I mean, I like Harrison. I think he's a decent player. Tigers were 64 and 98 last year. I don't see how this helps them get over 70 wins. It's an okay move. Not a game changer by any means. So, like I said, yeah, okay move. That's all I can really say. It's nothing huge, nothing groundbreaking. Tigers will still be out of the playoffs, I'm guessing. So that basically wraps it up. Bryce Harper in serious contract with the Phillies. Yeah, I expected Bryce Harper to the Phillies. I think a lot of people did. You know, they can offer him the money, which is the biggest thing for him. But yeah, so overall, I think that's everything I wanted to cover. Thank you to everyone who watched. I have a set schedule now, so I will be live Tuesdays and Saturdays, and depending on how much news there is to cover that week, some Wednesdays. That'll be on a week-to-week basis. So thank you to everyone who watched, and I'll see you guys Tuesday.